Hey Hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter World and Iceborne video. In today's video, I'm going to cover 13 more tips and tricks that you might not have known in World and Iceborne. This is a follow-up to a video I already did covering 13 tips and tricks for World and Iceborne, so if you want to check out that first video, I'll be sure to leave a link in the description, pinned comment, as well as in the top right corner now. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Now, in my first video, I talked about how bright moss is used to dunk flying monsters. However, there are many other uses for the general slinger ammos that you can pick up from World and Iceborne's environments. So tip number 1 is going to lead us off with torch pods, as these have a couple of unique uses. The first is that they can clear a small area of effluvium in the Rotten Vale. Simply shooting a pod at the ground and the fire that is left will burn away a small radius of the effluvium, giving you a spot you can stand in to remain unaffected for a short time. The burning spot also does deal small amounts of fire damage to monsters that run into it, which isn't all that useful, but is pretty cool. The second use that torch pods have is against Lavazioth, as you can shoot him with torch pods to soften the hardened armor. As many of you might know, Lavazioth has 2 armored states where he's hardened and one where he is molten, and he's weaker to fire damage when he's hardened, as that softens up his armor, and he's weaker to water when he's molten. Since it can be tough to bring both elements, and even if you do, you'll probably struggle to deal as much damage as you could, simply bringing water element weapon and then using torch pods to soften him up will greatly improve your experience against the worst monster in the game. Tip number 2 continues with the slinger ammos, and we have water moss, also known as puddle pods. Did you know that they can break mud armor off of Geradidos and Baroth? Simply hitting their muddy parts with puddle pods like you see in this video allows you to deal more damage. You can first see how little damage I do with thunder ammo when it has the mud armor, but once I use puddle pods to break the mud, my damage goes way up. The puddle pods are also capable of extinguishing Lunastra's blue flame pools that she leaves on the ground, so if you're struggling with her, you could try grabbing some puddle pods. Tip number 3 can help you with fishing. Did you know that you can catch multiple fish that are clustered together all at once by simply shooting the capture net at them? Now this will scare away the other fish, so use this wisely, but this can be a great way to grab a bunch of fish all at once if you just need a couple for something specific, like sushi fish scales or wetfish fins. Tip number 4, if you need Kelbi Horns for crafting ancient potions, but something about your deeply ingrained morals and ethics feels just wrong killing them, cowards, you can deal blunt damage to their head to make them drop their horns without having to kill them. This can be done with shield attacks from Sword and Shield, using Greatsword's tackle. Even the capture net can be used to get them to drop, like you see in this clip here. Now do note that this only works with the male Kelbis with the large horns, as the females don't drop their horns when getting hit in the head. Guys, before we get into the next tip, if you do find yourself enjoying this video and content like this, I'd ask that you consider subscribing to my channel, as over 90% of you guys watching in the last month aren't subscribed. It's totally free, helps support me and the channel, and you can always change your mind later if you decide the content just isn't for you. Now let's go ahead and move on to tip number 5, where we'll talk about status. Now status is a huge deal in World and Iceborne, as both Blast and Poison have been the top dogs for raw in meta sets across the life cycle of the game. However, did you know that each time you apply a status to a monster, the next one actually takes longer and is harder to apply? The first poison will always be easier than the second, which will be easier than the third, and so on, up until they hit a maximum tolerance. For example, Yin Garuga's first poison happens after you apply 250 poison damage, but each subsequent poison takes 150 more than the last, up till it reaches a max of 700. So you apply 250, get the first poison, and that number resets to 0, then you have to apply 400 to get the second, the number resets to 0, then you have to apply 550 for the third, then the number resets to 0, and then it takes 700 poison application for all subsequent poisons, resetting at 0 once you get the poison. Statuses can also decay over time, with most statuses on most monsters decaying at a rate of -5 status every 10 seconds. So if you had applied 200 poison to a monster and it runs away and it takes you 30 seconds to catch up to it, only 185 poison will still be applied towards that next poison. For tip number 6, I kind of mentioned this in the first one, but I felt like it really deserved its own segment. Using wetfish fin pluses to sharpen your weapon is a must. These take just one swipe to sharpen your weapon, which totally eliminates any need for speed sharpening skill. They actually only have a 10% chance to be used up, meaning you can get up to 10 uses or more out of just one fin, and these can be easily farmed in a 1-star Master Rank event quest called A Fish to Whet Your Appetite. And remember, you can use the net trick from earlier to catch these guys much quicker. For tip number 7, some weapons like sword and shield and dual blades have hidden one-hit tenderize moves that you can use without needing a shaver jewel, allowing you to fully tenderize a monster in just one hit even with a light weapon. If you want to see more on this, be sure to check out a short video that I made linked in the top right now to see how those work. Moving on to tip number 8, if you didn't know, by assisting a hunter of a lower rank, so if you're in master rank, high or low rank hunters, if you're in high rank, a low rank hunter, you can get additional rewards as well as a trophy and some unique weapon pendants. These pendants are unlocked after 10 helps, getting you the bronze pendant, 20 hunter helpers getting you the silver pendant, and 40 successful hunter helpers will get you the gold guide medal pendant. Now the extra rewards for helping low rank hunters are gold and silver Wyverian prints, which you can see here will be used at the Elder Melder to craft gems and other monster materials that have a low drop rate without you having to farm the monster 1,000 times to get them. For tip number 9, you can actually build up Tranquilizer on a monster before putting it in a trap to capture it. It usually takes 2 Trank Bombs or 2 Trank Bowgun shots to capture a monster in a trap, but you can actually hit the monster with these first, then put it in a trap. Trank works very similarly to Statuses, where you can build it up and it will also wear off over time. Now this can be helpful if you've already trapped the monster a couple of times before and you're worried that the next trap just won't last long enough for you to get off both Trank Bombs. So you could hit the monster with the Tranks first, then trap it, and it will immediately capture once it hits the trap. For tip number 10, did you know that the tents at camp both heal you and sharpen your weapon? So if you plan to head back to camp because you're low on materials, don't waste your heals or wetfish fins before heading back. Simply head back, enter the tent, and restock. You'll come out at full health and max sharpness, which can save you some precious materials and potions, and this can really add up over the course of hours and hours of playtime in World and Iceborne. For tip number 11, if you get sent flying by an attack, as you can see here, and you're worried about getting hit again by a subsequent attack, you can actually choose to stay down for longer by simply not pressing any buttons. You actually get a decent amount of invincibility after being knocked down, so you can use this to your advantage to avoid getting hit by an attack, then immediately standing up and getting hit by another attack, and then you're stunned, and then you get carded, and it's just a terrible experience. So if you get knocked down, you can stay down if you see you're about to get hit again, and the invincibility frames might just save your life. For tip number 12, did you know that your Palicos can apply statuses? If you give your Palico a sleep or paralysis weapon, you'll almost always get at least one sleep or para during a hunt. Now this can give you a nice window to get some good damage in, or it can come at a crucial time when you need to sharpen or heal or buff, so don't overlook status weapons on your fuzzy feline companions. And the final tip for today's video is that did you know you can get meal vouchers from Poogie? That's right, by successfully petting Poogie each time you return from a quest, you'll slowly build up his affection. You'll know he's at maximum affection when each time you return from a quest to Astera or Celiana, not either of the gathering hubs, Poogie will be waiting for you excitedly. Now once he's at maximum affection, you can pet him, have him follow you, or pick him up to where the handler sits in Astera. Then you can take him over by the handler while carrying him, and once he squirms, like this, you can set him down. He will usually dig up a meal voucher. Now of course this isn't the best way to farm vouchers, but if you're ever in need of just a couple, this is a great way to get one after every quest that you do. So there you have it, 13 more tips and tricks that you might not have known from Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. If you're looking to learn even more about World and Iceborne, you should be sure to check out these 3 videos where I covered 13 other tips and tricks on getting better at the game, and some hidden values that you might not have known in Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. Now, if you guys can think of some more tips and tricks that I didn't include in today's video, be sure to leave them in a comment down below. I personally love learning new things from you guys, and this will also help others watching this video to learn even more simply by scrolling to the comment section. If you guys did find this video helpful, be sure to drop a like down below, as again, it's a totally free way to support my channel and spread this video to other hunters. If you're new to my channel, new to Monster Hunter, or if you liked what you saw today and you're interested in more, be sure to subscribe so that way you never miss an upload. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.